This is a quick insight into the information contained in the Taxation Information Kit, which will provide you with a wealth of knowledge about the U.S. Constitution and the frauds committed by the federal government and the IRS federal agency against we the people of these United States. You will learn about the jurisdiction frauds of the federal court system and the unconstitutional judges and districts therein. Also, the fraudulent alleged authority of the U.S. Post Office concerning mail fraud. Income and property tax are defined, and the improper and illegal authority claimed by the U.S. Supreme Court is exposed, as well as the limited authority of a federal grand jury. This kit will enlighten you of your rights under the supreme law of this land concerning the payment of income tax and property tax, whether or not the federal courts and/or federal laws are constitutional or legal, and what you can and ought to do about it. It is not a matter of a constitutional question or issue. It is a matter of fact and law. This Taxation Information Kit provides you with the means and material to apply legally for a refund of all funds paid as income tax since 1953 forward, and to opt out of the income tax program of the IRS from this time on. The following evidence, when carefully reviewed, constitutes the common crime of fraud, which leads to theft by deception. And not just one event of fraud, not even two or three, but a whole host of continued frauds. Among this series of frauds was discovered an astoundingly terrifying fact: the overt attempt to subdue the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States by unconscionable acts in violation of Article 3, Section 3, Clause 1, to commit treason. Factual treason committed by the Congress of the United States in concert with the Internal Revenue Service federal agency within 2 days of each other. Both proposed and passed a law in the early 1950s that would make it legal to seize or tax out of existence all lawfully owned guns belonging to the people, leaving us defenseless against our government or any other government. This is the Title 26 CFR 1953 edition, the beginning of the frauds concerned with here, wherein the IRS federal agency first began a series of frauds to last at least 8 years in a row. On August 16, 1954, Congress established an unusually high annual tax on every type of gun in the United States, not just on machine guns as it might first appear here. Of course, these were to be annual license-type taxes, it appears. This is a close-up of that page. The IRS's first official act on August 18, 1954, just 2 days later, was an act of attempted treason. This is a close-up of that page, which shows the requirement of registering your firearm and place where such firearm is usually kept. An act arising to overt subjugation to conditions of military to Second Amendment-related disarmament, in violation of Article 3, Section 3, Clause 1, and the Second Amendment. Congress, asking each and every one of you this treasonous question: where do you keep your guns usually? Providing the possibility for our nation's first unclassified yellow pages for spies, the kind of an act that a Japanese admiral at Pearl Harbor later testified would have allowed the Japanese to bomb California and the West Coast after Pearl Harbor. Here is the page that contains the evidence that the IRS was engaged to impose absolute gun control upon the citizens of the United States on every type of gun, right down to the common rifle and shotgun. This page shows the attempt to introduce the requirement of absolute gun control by universal gun registration of every person in the United States as required by the treasonous 1954 Congress. But there's more. The missing 1957 Blueback Series CFR, as produced by the IRS federal agency, has still not been found to this date. Unveiling for the first time the truth concerning a federal fraud jurisdiction corruption involving not only the IRS federal agency, but all federal agencies from the United States Post Office right up to the Department of Justice itself. And this, 87 counts of fraud. 87 separate acts of fraud leading to the overall charges of theft by fraud, which is deception, plus 2 actual acts involving real treason. It has also been discovered that Congress and the IRS have illegally conspired together to cause religious discrimination, found in IRS Publication 517 and 525, favoring one specific religion over all others, and actually incorporating that one religion's ancient religious doctrine into the IRS code, which is a gross offense in violation of the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. And these frauds, as now exposed, require that the Congress completely dismantle the Internal Revenue Service without delay, and all funds taken through theft by deception for all these years be returned immediately to all those affected. Order your Taxation Information Kit today and begin educating yourself with the truth, and by so doing, change the course of our nation.